What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you all. We are struggling with some signal. We're struggling with the connection out here, family. But you know what? We're going to get through this and all right there. I wanted to do this video because, you know, many people are asking me, who am I affiliated with? Which I'm not sure why that's the big concern, but there are those who believe, there are those who've been trying to push me or pull me into different their groups. You know, some want to know, are you Hebrew? Are you an Israelite, Hebrew Israelite? Are you a Jew? Are you a Christian? Are you Muslim? Are you, all of these questions that come up that people want to ask me. And I guess rightfully so, because I do talk about different topics, different groups, different religions. And if anybody knows if anybody been watching me long enough, they should already know that answer. But I do know that I have been growing leaps and bounds in my subscription, and there, many people don't know my history. So I want to get into this topic that people, because I've been sharing about Jews here lately. This is the topic I've been sharing, and I'm going to explain why. And why have I been saying, because I've been questioning people, why are you saying that we are the Jews? Then I've had people say that you're trying to force our people into another religion. I guess they assume Judaism. So I have people who are saying that. I have people try to tell me that I'm wrong and this and that. And that's okay. I mean, I ain't tripping. Hey, it's my channel. You don't like it, hey, you ain't got to listen. But I do know that I have a responsibility to share information and try to be exact with the information that I have or have found or researched, even by my own experience, to be truthful, honest, and upfront. But this whole thing of why the interest of who I stand for, what is my name, what I'm about, all these right here, we're going to get into that so that it'll help you all. I had one of my sisters send me an email today. She sent me a video, and it was interesting. It was actually right on time, because it was very fitting, because I was going to talk about this subject today. But she sent me this video, and she says, is this video about us accurately findings? Is these findings accurate? And I kind of looked at the video and all right there, and I told her, I don't know. You see, I'm a man who don't just speak about anything, who don't just run off with the lips and act like that I have all the answers. If I don't know, I don't know in certain areas. And the things that I do know, based upon the knowledge I have in my life experience, by my encounters, all that, I can share that with you. But you're looking at a man who don't believe in absolute truths. There's only one absolute that I do know, and that is that which the Most High, that I had an encounter with in my living room before I was about to take my life, that was a presence in my room, who set a peace upon me, and I rose up and I was a total different person. That's the only absolute truth I know. Everything else to me is truths based upon one man's understanding and his experience that was shown to me in the spirit. So people are wanting to know these whole questions about, you brother, I didn't know you was us. I didn't know you was a Hebrew Israelite. Brother, I didn't know you was Christian. Brother, I didn't know. Oh, now you speaking stuff now that, wow, bro, you're bringing out stuff, man, where I didn't know you had it in you. And everybody wanted to take claim and try to put Go Black to Africa in a corner, or he's affiliated with us, he's part of us, or he's with us. I'm 56 years old, and I have learned to understand something. I'm not a person who jump on any bandwagon that's quick to follow anything. And when I say quick to follow anything, I'm not one who needs to validate who I am by by associating or being on people's membership rolls and you know putting names and labels on myself. I found that that right there has held me back spiritually. But people are constantly, you know, asking the question. But this, my sister here, or I would call her my mother, because she's definitely my elder. But she asked me that. She asked me that question. I'm gonna get some videos, but I'm gonna get some, and I'm gonna show you too about this whole thing of the chapter that I'm in, sharing about Jews. Why am I doing that? This is gonna help a lot of people out. But she asked that question of the video that she sent me. Is this video about us accurate in their findings? I don't know. She said, thank you for your honesty. I get confused with all these different perspectives. Ah, now we're getting somewhere with all of these different perspectives. You know, it's dangerous listening to a lot of people. But even when you're on search for your truth, you know, we try to go ahead and we will open up many of doors, and we can subject ourselves to many of schools of thoughts and beliefs and views and opinions and stuff. But very few people, or let me say this right, I have run across very few people. I can't say there's like a very few people. I haven't met everybody, but there, in my encounter with many of people, very few people can put on a spiritual discernment hat and be able to know what to chew off of and what not to chew off of, what to swallow and what to digest. I find that there are very few people out here. Many people take things for face granted. And I find there are a lot of foolish people out here who just talk game, but yet they have no substance. You know, and so people, and I get it. People are looking for answers, and they're opening up doors, and they're trying to find out, you know, who's right and who's wrong. The Spirit showed me this too. This is what I live by. Look, I chew off when I'm sitting back and I've put the time in to meditate, the time into sacrifice from people, from pleasures. I had to sit back and pull on the Most High to get answers. That takes work, y'all. That takes work. But when I'm shown that truth is only based upon one man's understanding and his experience, that's his truth. Why is that his truth? Because whatever you read, whatever you see or experience, you are going to believe that. You know, when I was growing up, my mom used to say this right here: believe half of what you hear, half what you see, and half of what you read. I could never understand that when I was a kid. I'm like, Mom, why you always say that? She says it's true. You shouldn't believe everything that you read and everything you hear or everything you see. Until I got into my early 30s, it clicked. I come to realize that everything is only based upon one man's understanding or his experience. All the books we read, the colleges we go to, the schools, we get our seminars, we get our PhDs and our masters and our bachelors and our associates. We go on and get further educations based off of somebody else's understanding and their experience. Isn't that true? When we research, we have to dive into people's research. We have to dive into people's philosophy. We have to dive into what people, in their own prejudice and biases and how they perceive things, will write on a piece of paper, and it will not be absolute truth. No, it's not. The Bible is not absolute truth. Oh my gosh. And I hit people with that. And there are people who will argue with me up and down, up and down. They will argue with me. You're crazy. That is a sacred Bible. It's the infallible word of God, and it is exact, right and exact. No, it's not. It's already known that errors that stand in there. It's already known that there's translations that you can go and read in the Hebraic language, or whether the Aramaic, or the Greek. You can find that there are words that you just cannot translate, or you try to get near to. And for those who subscribe to the Bible as it's 100% absolute truth, you better do your homework and do the research on that Bible. That Bible started with 81 books, and today it sits in most houses with 66. They removed Apocrypha. It used to be 81. They removed it. And matter of fact, if you look at, because we're talking about before there was the King James Bible, it was manuscripts, okay? And there was manuscripts, and these were bits and pieces that were basically transcribed, and yet there were people walking around with bits and pieces. But yet what is known was the initial copy or duplicates that were mass produced over in England, and it was the King James Version, first one coming out of gate running, that many people took their hands to and ran with. Because the control of the church, which with the Catholics, people didn't have access to the Bible. It was all predicated upon whether it was a rabbi, whether it was a priest, whether it was a pope. They were the ones reading from that book, from that scroll, from that Torah to the people, and they could say whatever they said, and people wanted to get their nose inside of it to see exactly what it was being said. And not only into the reproduction of the Bible is when then people had access to it. And if anybody knows history and look up and see what it was, look it up. The 1611 King James Version Bible, the first edition that was ever written, you're going to find it was 81 books that was in there. And you're going to find there was a foreword in there. There was a long letter that was written. And it was written in the hands and the writings of King James. And he had some very interesting things to say. Now, for people who don't know history, there was about 77 people that he had gathered up together that was supposed to be these so-called brilliant minds and these so-called people who could translate from one language to another or what have you. And yet they came together and put this in an English language. But there was problems they came across. So for people to sit here and say that the Bible is not tainted, it has not been maybe errors in its translations, is far from the truth. But is it credible? Yes, it is credible, if that's what you want to believe it to be. But there's many people say they're incredible. They say it's nothing but a bunch of stories and all that right there. But the most powerful thing that any man has is a belief system. That trumps everything, because no matter what you say, it's what you believe. Hence the word faith. Belief. That's what it comes all down to. Belief. But let me add on to that, family, because I want to help somebody out right here. Because many of us are searching, especially those that are coming from Europe or America, Canada, who are looking and searching to find some form of identity. And I have been putting out information out there about all different things, and whether it was, whether it's about the Bible, whether it's about speaking about the Hebrew Israelites, whether it's talking about Jews, whether it's talking about Christians, whether it's talking about Muslims, whether it's talking about whatever. I just did videos on the Limba people, and so, and people are searching and they're listening and they're like, wow, I didn't know this and this and that right here. And it's part of people's journey to try to get to the truth. Well, I already know my truth. And my position is not to put anybody in any type of box or try to lead anybody into any direction in any religion. That's the last thing I'm trying to do, is put people into religion. But what I like to do is provoke thought. And I like to go ahead and have people who are only interested, because that's those who really watch my channel. And I talk about different topics and stuff and try to be as balanced and open and honest in a rightful way in situations that we see that are unfolding in America or things in Africa or things around the world, because you're not going to really get these truths when you're listening to other media platforms, whether it's the media controlled by those people who are in charge and they are slanted of truth. And today, what is truth? As I said, it's only based upon one man's understanding and his experience. But manipulation media is not about that. It's about propaganda. It's about trying to lead people in directions beyond the truth, so that so that those who are in charge, if you will, can have the power to control a people. That is it. But let's get back onto my trail here, because the big thing here has been the hot topic of me saying that, yo, we are the original Jews. And I stand by that emphatically, and it is the truth. Now, why do I say that though? You see, there are some people I just cannot give messages to because I keep forgetting. There are people who are at elementary level. There are people who just became woke, or those people right there who just open up their minds and are exploring. And there are some people who think only natural sense, and yet if I'm speaking from a spiritual sense, they miss it. So I got to put it plain and simple. I can't speak with proverb, I can't speak, with, these allegories and these different depictions and stuff. So I got to put it plain for people. Why is Go Black saying that we are the original Jews? Okay, let's get into it. Let me share my screen. It is a proven fact, family. If you sensibly think about this, it is a proven fact. Let me share my screen. Let me turn my phone on here to make sure that I'm seeing what y'all seeing. It's a proven fact, scientifically, that humanity, what have you, started in Africa. Hands down. I'm going to show you this right here. You can Google it. Scientists and all the archaeologists and all of them have come to agreements over the years that humanity, human beings, the oldest bones found ever is in Africa. Now hold on to your horses. Hold on to your horses, because that's just not it though. Okay. All right, let me crank this. Let me put this on to make sure that y'all see what I see, or I see what y'all see. Okay, so if we go right here, you can type in. This is very easy, elementary. But what I typically do is you have to go through so many different things. I don't just land on the first thing that comes up. I typed in, where do humanity begin? And this right here says Africa. Humans first evolved in Africa, and much of human evolution occurred on the continent. The fossils of early humans who lived between 6 and 2 million years ago come entirely from Africa. Most scientists currently recognize some 15 to 20 different species of early humans. Okay, now family, don't get caught up in the numbers. Oh, this earth is not 20 million years old. The Bible, they did the math at 6,000 years. See, that's where you got to just, okay, get yourself out of that place. Let's just stay with the topic of the matter. What do the scientists all agree and recognize where the humans started and originated from? Africa. Okay, they find the fossils and all these different human skulls, whatever they say, whatever they find, that the oldest is found in Africa. So to go on to the next question is, if the first human was in Africa, what color was he? Every scientist have not every scientist, you're finding more and more scientists today are openly admitting, because without the backlash, the persecution they would endure back in the days to ever say anybody white man came from a black man, that was straight up, that was murder on your hand. You would instantly be hung from a tree as a white person. So they had to lie and cover up, or they had to leave their country, what many did, and go into other countries and then release their documentations, their findings. These archaeologists, these scientists, and these biologists, and these people who were wanting to explore the human race around the globe hundreds and hundreds of years ago. But who were these people? You're going to find, if you would easily do your research, is did whites come from Africans? Or you can type in, was black people the first people to be the origin of man? And you're going to find that the scientists in them that says, yes, it was black folk there in Africa that was the first. Well, how did the white people come up? How did the Europeans evolve? This is what they're saying. I have some theories, but this is what they're saying. Since most of y'all are with the science, and most of them, 99 point, or I'm gonna say 100% of us rely on books that we read as our so-called our define or defending, or we are trying to use this information for our own knowledge or for our own benefit as means of education. You're going to find that most of these scientists have easily said that white people evolved from Africans. I'm not going to read all this. You got to do it yourself. But we're going to get to what I'm talking about. Because people are wondering why. People think I'm misleading people. People think he's a false prophet. People think that, why is he trying to lead people into Judaism? Why is he saying that we are the original Jews? Now, we've already mentioned that the scientists have already proven that the first human beings have started in Africa, that the first man that was black. And then let's go further. Let's go a little further. You see, the Europeans, unbeknownst to many of you all, have come into Africa for education. Whether you look up Socrates, when you look up Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, you're going to Pythagoras, who one would say was Socrates. If you read up his story, you are going to find he came into Africa. The universities was in Egypt, and we already know that the Egyptians were not looking like what you see today with some of the Arabs that are there that came through when the spread of Islam came through the northern part of Africa, which that's why you see north part of Africa filled with Arabs, that it was not like that. Thank goodness there are so many tombs and so many temples that are out there in Egypt. You need to go out there and see for yourself. You got to touch it. You got to see it. You got to smell it. You got to believe. The fact that of it is that black man has been there. Has been there since the beginning. It's on the paintings. It's in the writings. It's in the artifacts. It's on the statues. It's everywhere. That you have people like Pythagoras. You have people like Plato that you're going to find, if you knew anything about these people, they came into Africa to learn about the educations of sciences, medical, astrology, anatomy, spirituality. They all came in. It says here that even Pythagoras spent about 13 years in Egypt at the feet of an African in Egypt. Plato, I think it was 22 years for him. Majority of these Greeks or these Romans or these Europeans, they came into Africa. Bring y'all back here. They came into Africa. You see, many of y'all are not going to know that because many of y'all don't go traveling. Many of y'all don't even won't even delve into history to find out the truth. because I'm going somewhere here and I'm going to show you why I come up, why I say this. Because if we already know that the scientists have already proven that the black man was first, that came out of Africa, and then there was a migration, and then people, as the Bible said, the Tower of Babylon, Babel, and everybody spread it. But they say that, because we're going to use both. You can use both sides of stories or other stories and stuff, whatever people's theories and all this other stuff is. That when people migrated out, the Europeans got up in the north, okay, and then of course in the north and the ice age and all these things that happen, and of course the depletion of pigmentation, and you come up with a European. But what's interesting is if you would even use magnifying glasses on white people, you will see small specks of black or brown or tan that is on them, and actually it's almost like the space where you see stars and you see all the stars that's speckled. But it's depletion of, from what they say, of the pigmentation. But white people. Now, for those who have at least some sense to add 1 + 1 can equal 2, then let's think about this. Let's critically think, because most people can't do that. So, if black man was first, black man is the origin of human out of the continent of Africa. It is a proven fact that black had to be in Africa because it's got 1.3 billion black people in Africa, which shows its origin. By the studies that they did, by knowing who the oldest tribes are. Which they say can stem from different groups. What is the Scopes? How you say the Scopes? I like how they do the click sound. Folks, they talk about the Aborigines, they talk about the New Guineans, they talk about, these old tribes of people that they can find their skulls and looking at how does this play a part, because you can find things in time and see based upon other places that you dig and find. It paints a picture. Now stay with me. So if we're going to critically think, we're going to see that, of course, man originated in Africa. There was this migration that went on. They find that the white people, depletion of their pigmentation and all, is how they became Europeans. And then as time went on, all of a sudden, whether you want to talk about the Bible or you talk about somebody else's story, it don't matter. Let's put it all together. We got people in Israel right now that we know in 1948, they created that land, not created the land, but they created the state of Israel. If please watch my video that I just posted of a Jewish person who is in the Judaism religion, who is talking about those who are controlled, the Israelis who are Zionists. You need to learn about that. I had to learn this about, and I'm like, wow. You see, while we talk about everybody is so connected and bonded together, that's a flat out lie. You got people fighting against each other in Israel. And it's very interesting that you see that there are different groups of Jews who are totally disagree with one or another to whatever, but you have the Orthodox Jews who say they should have never been there and that state should have never been claimed because of the Torah that states that God would give them a new Jerusalem, a new land, and it was forbidden to do so. But when you hear this anti-Semitic, they say that is not us, the Jews. We've forgiven Kyrie Irving and them. But those people there, the Zionists, they're the ones who you find there who don't follow the Torah. You know how you have those people who claim they're either Muslim, they're Christian or whatever, but they're not following what it says, but they only want to use the title at their own convenience. They exposed them. These Zionists, this is what he calls them. Well, anyway, whether you call yourself Orthodox Jews, whether you call yourself a Jew or call yourself Israeli or not, this is my point that I'm making. If it's a proven fact that we were first and you came out of us, and yet if you want to talk about the Bible and how the Bible makes mention that out of the origin, Adam, who was first, as the Bible would say, we then know then by based upon the scientific proofs that if it was black man, that means Adam was black. We then know that Adam then had babies from Eve. Well, we do know that she was black if the scriptures are saying that it was she was taken out of his rib. That means she laid off a DNA from him, which then had black children, which had black children. Now, interesting enough, I've learned something here along my journey too, not too long ago, that in the Jewish people's Talmud, or their Talmud, their book of writings by rabbis and their theologies and their theories and their all this other stuff. They say that Noah, because many people, what you call the Hebrew Israelites and those who's Jews and all that right there, will take their lineage back to Noah's sons, which he had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Okay. Now, many Hebrew Israelites and stuff are saying we came from Shem. Now, the Europeans said that black peoples were cursed and they had came from Ham. And many of the Hebrew Israelites are saying that white people come from Japheth. Now, what was interesting that I was watching some videos, and if you didn't watch my video that I had put up, you missed it. When I put the video up, Jew Rabbi admits the truth about Black Americans' identity. You need to go watch that video, because within that video was a bonus. It was some Hebrew Israelites who were reading through the Talmud. Talmud, as some would pronounce the Talmud. Now, what I love about my brothers and sisters who are Hebrew Israelites is that they, most, I'm not talking about the young cats out on the street screaming and all that right there. They have their place, and I believe that's ordained by the Most High. There's not by chance, coincidence, or accident. This whole Jew thing, talking stuff, and these Hebrew Israelites are on the streets yelling and screaming and have pictures of who are the real children of Israel, and this is the whole lineage of the people, whether you're black or whether you are, Mexican, and whether you are Latino or whatever. They got it all broken down all right there. That's what they do. But here it is that at this moment of time of life, people are wondering what is what. And Go Black has put out there many of videos and now is saying that we are the true or the original Jew. Keep your thinking cap on now, because I gotta lay this foundation for you. We've already went through, scientists have proven already from years ago that man started in Africa, the man was black. Okay, I've shown you just little bits of showing that who they consider their fathers of knowledge, Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, and stuff. You will find in their writings and other writers that they went down in Egypt to study for years, 13 years, 20 years, to gain knowledge in all of these areas of science. Went back into their own, and people respect them, say, hey man, wow, you're a philosopher. How do you come up with this stuff? Well, down there, see, this is before they turned things black and white. Down there in Egypt, they got some people down here. I mean, they got civilization, they got all the stuff that we can't even put a match to. But they got all the stuff here. Now, this ain't me saying it. That's in their writers saying it. And this is in history, showing they sat at the master's feet. So when you look at it in Kemet, or Egypt as they call it, whether it's the place of Nubia, the land of Cush, wherever, you are going to find, and the land of Cush is mentioned in the scriptures, the ancient writings, and the scrolls. Y'all call it the Bible, but yeah, it's mentioned. But what you're going to find in my presentation of why am I saying that we are the original Jews is because if what we see today, the European Ashkenazi Jews, the Sephardic Jews, the Mahiz Jews, the Orthodox Jews who are claiming that they are Jews, and we know they came from us, and we know in their Talmud that the bonus that was in the video that I gave you all, you saw that the Hebrew Israelites, some of them are able to read and speak Hebrew. See, this ain't by chance or coincidence that the Most High have things placed and put in place for things to happen, truths to come up. If you watched my videos, you would also saw when I was in Israel and I went to go visit our brothers and sisters in Dimona, Israel, who came out of America in 1967. I call it the real Black Wall Street, or the new Black Wall Street, I call it. Community of thousands of people, brothers and sisters, who speaks fluent, from the baby to the eldest, speaks fluent Hebrew, not Yiddish. Like most Jews speaks Yiddish. Yes, I see that in the comments. Most speaks Yiddish. But our brothers and sisters, they speak fluent Hebrew. And they're able to go into their books, those other books that we didn't have the advantage of knowing what is said in the Torah that was written in Hebrew, or the Talmud that was written in Hebrew. We were only left with translations into English. But there are other writings that you can find around the world that's still in Hebrew, because Hebrew is nothing more than a cut off anything that came out of Africa anyway. Remember, let's stay with this, the original. So then you have bits and pieces broken up of languages that people will go ahead and put dialects or other pieces of languages based upon their circles, their near neighbors, or whatever, that people come in and establish communities. So how is it that Go Black is going to say that we are the original Jews? Because if you cut anything off the original and turn around and make it yours, it's still ours. How can it that how can we sit here and acknowledge that we're the first people on the earth, we're the first ones we were the Black people, and white folks come out of us? First civilization that they find, the oldest civilization, is in Africa. Why? Because if it's the oldest, how can anything else trump it? But if you haven't been to Egypt, I'm not just talking about Cairo, I'm talking about from the top to the bottom. To see civilization, when you go into the land of Kush and you enter into or get close into the North Sudan, whatever, that's just borders. But it wasn't like that back in the days. So when you look into that history and you see where the Europeans, when they came in, there were I think it was two pharaohs that were Europeans, because there was wars that try to sit on the throne. You even see where they tried to even put their image on one of the walls. I think it was in I can't remember where we were at. But anyway, they try to manipulate and change, but you can't change stone. That's the advantage, family. So you can change books. You can change up the words. You know how many editions or you know how many versions of the Bible there is out here? And if you do yourself a favor and cross-check one different Bible from another, the New Living Translation or the King James Version, or if you want to say the New International Translation, if you want to talk, there are hundreds and hundreds of these. You're going to find that each one has been tweaked, and changed to whomever wanted to write it. Now, what would prohibit a European back in the 1600s or the 1500s to not want to change things to their own benefit? That's why I don't believe that the Bible is absolute, but I understand already in its totality, the big picture of it. There is a most high. There is the most high. There is a true living God. That is the gist of it. That's just the gist of it. Now, some people want to creep into the names and all that right there. Well, because when you look at it in the Bible, whether you say Hebrew, what were they? Hebrew. Then what were they? They were Israel. Then they were Jews. Then some stop at that. And then some say they were Christians. Then from Christians, what did it come? Then Catholics and Baptists and Protestants and all of these different names that are happening. But if we do a rewind, we're going to go right all the way back to the original. So how can people say that they were the original when you came out of us, and yet we had already had the acknowledgement and you came into the continent to be taught? This is why I say we are the original Jews. Nobody can put that and say they're the original. Well, that was us in the Bible that was talking about us. Well, hold up. Slow your roll, bro. Slow your roll, bro. No. Sorry. Because your history shows, and the history that I know shows, sorry, these were black people back. And then all of a sudden, according to your Talmud, that Japheth is the one who wind up was white. Shem was the one who was black as a raven. This is in their writings that we don't have access to. And Ham was dark. This is the description it has. Go to the video, the one that I put up that you missed, that said the Jew rabbi admits the truth about Black Americans' identity. In there, you're going to see our brothers and sisters reading out of the Talmud in Hebrew language and also in the English. And you're going to find these things. So when you put the picture together and people are saying that they have a lineage, which there are those Jewish people coming into Africa who are running across the Lemba, coming across the Igbo, the Yoruba, coming across these people who have been practicing what these Jewish people say, my gosh, y'all know who y'all are, and y'all doing the very thing that we're doing. Where'd y'all come from? We didn't know nothing about y'all. Now, some people want to argue the fact that, well, they're practicing Judaism and they converted some years ago, and that's as far as they think. No. Why? Because they even came in to do DNA tests. Now, the interesting thing is that what I don't like is that why are we have to compare our DNA to yours if we're the original? But even in their findings, they say the Africans have the highest concentrated of the DNA for showing that they are in the family of the Jews. The Lemba people say they are part of the Levite tribe. Now, why would anybody would not want to believe their story, but yet you believe their story? How can anybody get in the front of the line and pass the original and claim to be something when you came out of us? You came out of the continent. You think that the Most High is just going to say, okay, yeah, y'all. You see, most Africans need to wake up, as well as most African Americans need to wake up, and those in part of the diaspora need to wake up and realize when this whole concept of God came in, it didn't look, we already knew there was an existence of a greater creator. The Europeans didn't, the Greeks didn't, the Romans didn't. That's why when you dig into their soil, you can't find anything that represents anything holy or anything in a God fashion. They only had myths. And those myths they even took out of Africa. Now, many people say that in Egypt, they worshiped other gods and and people don't understand the history of what was being conveyed when you see these statues or these things that they had patas and they had these other depictions of godlike, depending on which generation or uh, the dynasty that was of what gods they had. Each there was some that had different one belief systems or different names, if you will. And these different names is nothing more proven that as generations go on, names change. I mean, think about it. When we got off those slave ships, our ancestors to go off the slave ships, right? We went from niggas to Negroes to black to African American. Took from African. Let me say that again. We got off the ships, we were niggas. Then we turned into Negroes. Then when we were already referred to Negroes before we got off, before with hundreds thousands of years before they was in their language was Negro. But nigga, they want to put us back to Negro. Then we're considered blacks. Now we're going to consider you to be Americans. Then Jesse Jackson came in about the African Americans. And now we got people talking about, your ADOS, FBAs. Now the talks of Hebrew Israelites and Jews and all these other names. See, these names go on from generations to generations. And 200 years from now, people are going to say, especially those who's come over into Africa and lived and started, and somebody going to say, oh, so you're American. I ain't no American. What are you talking about? So history is a mother. So when I say that we are the original Jews, well, you just go back in reverse and see who the people were. But when you lose identity through slavery and all these different things, and you begin to label yourself as these different titles and things that you believe, I'm Baptist, I'm Protestant, I'm this, I'm that, I'm Democrat, I'm Republican, all these layers of identities that you believe that you are, you lose actually who you are. Now, does that mean anything when you say that, oh, well, when I say we are the original Jew people, the ones of faith, the ones who had a belief system. If we were the first on earth and black men, they admit that we were, and the whites came out, and then the whites came back in, took knowledge, went back, created, shared the knowledge, built civilizations, did all these things in their places. They have their own fathers that they give claim to, and all these right here, even though the ideas came out of Africa, but they want to take claim, and that's all right there. If that's what they want to do, that's their business. But what I'm saying is that don't get lost in the mix in believing that somebody is something that which you were already. But does that make you anything, even if you want to hold on to that? I'm an original. Does that mean anything? Does that make your life better? Does that bring more power to you? Does it bring more opportunity in your life? Does it put more money in your bank? Does it even make you a better person? You see, what I do is I like to clap back. I like to push back when there are those out here who wants to dominate and control and take everything for themselves, give their credit that they're the ones who originated all of this that we see today, and then silly us believing that we haven't done anything or contributed to anything to the world. And yet when you don't know history and realize even in America, all of our great ancestors who were inventors or innovators or who came up with these things that were stolen from them, but didn't even have patents back then, and we didn't have that, and people took the ideas and they ran with it and made their millions off of people's ideas and stuff like that. So be it. But if you don't know you're the original when it's scientifically proven, and then you hold people supreme than yourself, then you curse your own children, and them will always be second class. They will always be the bottom. They will always be the tail. They will always be far behind because you take on this whole inferior complex, don't have no sense of education or of checking stories and stuff out. So then that now you give credit to everybody else out here who done took from you. Let me read this right here to you. Let me show back my screen. I'm going to show a video because this person, I think he's Ghanaian, and he was very upset that Go Black, he chose to be a Jew. Oh my gosh. And he was brought into this Ghanaian family, and he doesn't respect the culture, and he doesn't this and that, and blah, blah, blah. Let's read that, what he got to say. I laugh sometimes at these comments, and it just so happened I saw that comment because I don't read many of the comments. I allow people to express themselves and all that right there. And sometimes people have the questions and all that, but I'm busy. Let me share the screen right here. Let's get into this. I got a video I'm going to show you, and I'm going to give you an example. First and foremost, this is the man, I call him my granddad. Ni Mensa Doku. He was 107 years old when he passed away. He brought me into the Doku family when he was 105. He passed away about 2-3 years ago. I think it was three years ago, maybe. Time goes by so fast, can't remember. 3 years ago. He was 105. Hold up. 3 years ago, that means 2 years ago he passed away. So he was 107. When he's 105, it was 4 years ago then. So as you see, he has Yakub, Ni Mensa Doku. Now we know Jacob really is Yakub because J was never a letter. It was, and in Hebrew, Yah would be really in the place of J. But this was celebration of his life. He was 107 years old when he passed away. Okay. Now, so he was the one who approved of me to come in his family. Now, let me make the story really quick. I was in Africa for my second time because I was born in Africa. I wanted to have an African name. And when the opportunity presented itself, I would put a request out. Opportunity presented itself. My brother that I call now my brother Mohammed, he heard of my desire of wanting to have an African name. I was very serious about that. I didn't play around with it, and I was on a journey to have me an African name. Now, some people who may be very particular about their naming, some people name themselves, some people might want to search out of maybe more connective in the region they came from or the tribe they came from and all that right there. To me, I see things a little differently. So, because names are names and names can be changed, and anybody, especially who knows whether or not where the name Israel came from, was used to be Jacob or Yakub, or if you want to know what Abraham's name really first was Abram, and so names are changed, and names can be interchangeable. See, I get that, but anyway, so it was brought to my granddad right here of my desire to be or to have an African name. He said, I could do better than that. I can bring him into the family. And yes, because it's not just giving yourself a name. It's really being brought into a family network. So this is what he said, of course. Now, I understand now why he said that. And you're going to listen to the video of some things he say because I recorded it in certain parts that I have scrolled because if the volume was really low because I was filming from a different camera and you couldn't really hear, but yet there's a translation from Muhammad saying to me that you can kind of hear, but I put the writings underneath to scroll across. But I understand why, because even in old tradition, if somebody is desiring to be part of your tribe and they're willing to be part of a family network, why prohibit them? As long as they're in line with the God. But check this out. So I had this popped up today, and I was in and I saw this because I got the notifications. I saw this and I was like, and I just kind of skimmed through it and I saw this person writing. So anyway, this is what this person says. Bond, what's his name? Bond Sue Big Whale. He says right here. Hold on a second. He says, speaking from the perspective of my specific ethnic nation, let me see if I can get this. Ethnic nation, which coincidentally is the very ethnic nation that adopted Go Black to Africa and named him one of our names, Nkomi. Through customary rite and ceremony, pouring libation and calling on ancestors to welcome him as a child of the community, I have to truly question the motive behind this push. It makes no sense that he would just choose any old group to reconnect with if he believes he belonged to another ethnic nation and culture. In fact, he should have used the same energy he is using now to find those with whom he was equally yoked, share the same spiritual system, traditions, cultures, and history. Our people's history and origin story tells us that we were here at creation. It defies logic as well as our truth that we would need to seek validation from any group from elsewhere that came after us. Now he's talking about me talking about we are the original Jews. And this person here is very offended or upset that I was brought into a family and that yet I could disrespect them by now going to another group. And why didn't I put that same energy in going to this other group if that was my motive or whatever? That's because they don't know me. Every ethnic nation too has its origin story. They also have attributes of their cultures that have been practiced for centuries that are unique to their cultures. It is one thing someone is searching to connect with a past. It is quite another when one is directly connected to referencing and living in a continuance with that past. That is why we pour libations to acknowledge and recognize that past. We do not run from it, we celebrate it. To claim or so otherwise is in act of active dispossession. It is to intentionally he's got an upside, dis as our culture and dishonor our fathers and mothers. We have already gone through episodes where millions of our people across the continent had those specific links to their past taken away. It should not be that at a time when folks are actively seeking to reconnect or reestablish roots, that it is redirected towards something that may not be theirs to connect with. You see, people always want to figure me out and what I'm connecting with. People always want to, well, who you are you this, are you that, are you with us, are you down with them, are you see, this is the idiocy or the the craziness, because I'm speaking too bad, that of what people want you to be. Ain't no laws or rules to go with what I want. You can't tell me what I need to do. That's religion. You see, I understand the laws. I understand the truth already for me. And people want to pull you in, box you in, lock you up, and tell you got to do. But listen to this. But not to say that people are not free to follow their own individual calling when it comes to religion or spiritual something systems, but there should not be a call for others to abandon what has already been recognized me established as their own by others, it's akin to another culture war robbery. It's a kind, I don't know, an attempt to take away names, languages, religions, minds, cultures, inheritance, and their creator's path for them itself. This person right here don't know me. They don't understand my whole purpose in what I do. Then he ends with true irony is that those who took the most Africans for the longest, the Spanish and Portuguese, are the very ones who actually had Torah practicing Sephardic and crypto Jews who had been expelled from or escaped Iberia under Inquisition amongst their slave catching and raising crews. Now, I share that with you all because this is just one of many of people who's wanting to know, go black, what group? And if you, I thought you said you was down with the Ghanaians, and why would you even try to go back into some other group and you don't even know where you're going and all this right here? Like I said, you all, um, like I said, I was on a journey for a name change. I was not on a journey to become a Ghanaian. Though I came into the family, you know what's ironic? Because he talks that silly crap. You see, we're going to see what you see before you right now is the grandfather of where I'm sitting right in front of him. He was unable to make my naming ceremony, hence naming ceremony. He was, of course, at this time, 105 years old. And you see to the left of him, or left of where looking at the screen, the older brother, the other older brother, not the one sitting in the bed, the young brother, but the older brother, he is the uncle. He's the one who actually headed the naming ceremony. He is the one that named all the newborn children in the family. So this was after my naming ceremony, and I said, I gotta go give thanks to Granddad for bringing me into the family. Now, being that this brother feels as though that I have broken off family rules and cultures and traditions, you are going to find that even in most of these families, you will find people who are Muslim. You're going to find people who are Christian. You're going to find people who hold on to their old African spirituality. You're going to find all kinds of things. And to make that even as a proof to show you, you're going to see my brother, who is Muhammad, who is the grandson of our late Yaqub Ni Mensa Doku, who brought me into the family. So this crap that he's talking about, oh, we have strong African traditions and cultures, and for you to come into the family, you broke the very thing that we're supposed to broke. Nah. See, you being ignorant, because I can find a lot of African families who have people of different belief systems or religions that are in the family, and they still together as a network. But let's get into this right here real quick. I'm gonna do a couple of minutes of this right here, but listen to this right here, because I was very interested to know, where did the family, were they always there? Because I was on my journey back then about, this is, like I said, this is about 4 or 5 years ago, on my journey about who are we as a people, because I know that many Africans have migrated. I'm not silly enough to believe that you Ghanaian and you were just sitting in that place all your life, your whole family. I know that because of reaching into history, that there are people of different backgrounds, of different tribes, yet there are people migrated across Africa, across the world, or those who even were scattered, or those who were sent away in ships, those who were sent away in the slave trade, of the Arab slave trade, whether it was transatlantic slave trade, whether it was other slave trades that came in to Africa. But I was curious to know about the family's history. and I had granddad in my presence. So I wish I had my hard drive because I edited this video and I did a narration over just the conversation. But you will be able, you're gonna have a busy ear trying to hear while I'm talking, and yet you're gonna hear some talking there in the background, and then I'm have some things going across the scroll. But I can always pause it and I can break it down. But let's get into some of the crux of who was granddad, because he said some things that he left me with that will hold until my day of until my final days. Okay, let me see here. Okay, let me see here. Okay, so this is Muhammad, my brother. Muhammad is a Muslim name. He converted into Islam. He's younger than I am, early 40s, and he chose to go into Islam. Now, that's his business, and why he chose to, that's his business. But you're going to find in the family, there are others who aren't Muslim. But let's get into this right here. Let's get into bits and pieces of it. And I'm going to get to when I ask him, where did the family come from? Because I was already previously told the story of where they came from, but I wanted to hear it from his mouth. So he just shared with me, granddad just shared with me that he was sharing because, he welcomed me into the family. Now he's giving me some talks because now I'm part of the family. And my name, Nikomi Doku, has meaning. And so he's pressing upon me, is what he is saying. And let me just for myself, is we are human beings, not animals. So we're human beings. And since I have come, since you come into the family, he said he's gonna make sure the family takes care of me as well as I take care of them. This is what he said to me. I don't know if y'all can hear me. Y'all hear me? But anyway, this is what he had said to me. This is initial. This is like kind of like in the beginning. Could y'all hear me when I was explaining that? I'm gonna wait for y'all to see. Can y'all hear me? Okay. Okay. Well, not really static. Okay. Well, you can't hear you're not going to be able to hear what is being said really on the video, but I'm going to be interpreting. But anyway, I asked the question of where did that come from? And of course, from what I was told, he had answered it. And they asked me, did I have any questions for him? And that was one of my questions I had asked, is where the family came from. And he gave He said Israel. Um, so right there, he's saying, where they came and migrated the family. He said, his grandfathers, great grandfathers had said that's where the area that they had came from. Now I know that that depiction is giving us an area of what we know of Israel, that they came from the east of Africa, in the area of the land of Israel, of what we know today. Okay, so you hear that right there. So why am I showing this right here to you all? Because this is part of my piece of my puzzle, a piece of my puzzle. And part of piece of my puzzle, my story is just one of many people I've met who's made state the claim that we've migrated over to this place. This ain't something that they came up with. That they, Africa is not well equipped with technology, and especially his time, to sit around and sit of what we're trying to what we're coming up discovering that hey, hold up, what is this? What's this connection of us being Jews? And when you find these tribes and these people of elders been around for thousands of years, people saying, "Oh, exactly like the video I gave y'all to see of the Lemba tribe," he specified was passed down to their family where they all came from. Now, I share that with you all because of that, and I wanted you all to know that this whole thing of naming, people are into, the scriptures and stuff, and good for them about, who's from Ham, who's from Shem, and who's Japheth, who's from these people, and you from them, and we're from there, and these people here are there. You know, these where does it gain you? Okay, you know what the truth now. Who you are, now what do you do with it? What are you going to do with it? Because I see some of y'all who claim to be Jew, claim to be Israelite. I see some of y'all claim to be Christian and all right there. Y'all cheat on your wives. You're drunken fools. You lie, you steal, you're scammers. I see many people who do that. What good is it? So what? You take the claim of a name. Now, what good is it? So now that you know your truth, you claiming you know your truth, what good are you? It ain't made no change. It ain't make you no better person. You ain't get off of your ass and doing for your family. You ain't working. You got excuses. You still blame the white man. You still make excuses. But yet you a Jew. You a Hebrew Israelite. You a Christian. You a Muslim. You a this or that. See what good is that? Just because I say we the original Jews, now all of a sudden people like right here. Well, I didn't know. Are we? How are you gonna say we're the Jews? We're not the Jews. And then people want to try to throw they want to try to throw their education on you, Well, no, you're really this. No, you're really that. No, you're part of this family. No, you're part of that family. Look, I'm 56 years old. I know who I am. You don't need to tell me who I am. I already know who I am. No, I'm not a Jew. No, when I say no, I'm not a Jew in the sense of Judaism, that's already written in me. No, I'm not no Christian. The laws is written in my heart. No, I'm not no Hebrew Israelite. Because my encounter with the Most High, I believe in. No, I'm not that outwardly Jew who had a circumcision on his daggone nature down below. My heart has been circumcised. I like when the Most High was being asked, who are you? What should I tell the people? I am that I am. Don't box me in. Don't try to put me part of your group. Don't be trying to have no control over me. Don't be trying to tell me what I need to do. Don't tell me who other traditions I need to follow or who I need to worship. No, it kills people when you're not affiliated with any group because I'm free. Because when I used to be affiliated, I was a slave. I'm a child of the Most High. That's who I am. For all those who wants to be nosy, to know who Go Black is affiliated with it, I'm affiliated with the Most High. You see, when I used to be affiliated with groups that would pimp me for what I had. You see, I used to be a preacher man, a minister. I used to be behind the pulpit. Sometimes I get back in there too. If somebody wants to invite me, it don't matter. I got words of wisdom and words of encouragement and great stories to tell and share. No problem. But for those who wants to layer themselves with all the names and all that right there, I'm gonna tell you this right here. It ain't gonna get you far. Because when your day of judgment come, ain't no call for Hebrew Israelites come up to the line first. Jews, y'all come up to the line first. No, the titles may mean something in one aspect, showing your belief or your faith, showing maybe a connection or something. But what did that do? Who partaked in the murdering of your Christ? The Jews. Now we know, yeah, we know the Roman soldiers were the ones who poked them in the side and all that right there, but who turned them over? You walking with, according to this story in the scriptures and the ancient writings and the scrolls. Look, you got doubting Peter, you got backstabbing Judas, you got all these different people around you in your circle denying. Who is it? Who denied Christ? Denying Thomas. So you got ones that deny, you got backstabbers or doubters, and you got those who turn their backs on you, walking with supposedly the Messiah. So what good is it if you were a Jew? What good is it? Huh? You still got those who's going to turn their backs on you, stab you in the back, who are going to doubt you, who are going to talk negative in your life, who are going to try to mislead you, misguide you, scam you, and they got these titles. What does it matter? But when you know who you are and you connected with the Most High, you a powerful person. But when I'm doing a constant reminder to people, say, look, you are the original Jew. If that's what they're saying, that what? So what is that? Oh, we come from the father of faith. We had the faith before you even came. What are you talking about? Before you returned and came, returned back. You left black but came back white. So the thing of it is that we already knew this. You can't tell us anything that we didn't know. The only thing is that when you came back, you came with a white picture. You came with these statues. You came with religion. And many of y'all still following in it. still following in the religion. To each his own. That's what you do. I'm not in your household. It seems like many of them trying to get in my household to figure out which group I want to be part of. I mean, people can claim that Gold Black is he is a Hebrew Israelite. Gold Black, he's a Christian. Gold Black, he's this, he's that. Yes, he's one of us. No, I'm one of God's. I'm one of the Most Highs. That's who I am. But I like to search out truth. I like to find out what truth is. I like to see what it's all about and all that stuff right there, But I don't try to bang on nobody's belief system and religions and stuff like that. I know sometimes I say some things that I might not even sit well with people. Sometimes I come hard at some of those religions, especially with all the mess that goes on in them. Somebody said, "You are Judah." Somebody trying to tell me, "You are Judah." Then you got somebody say, "Man, no, it's not Judah, man. No, we're not from the tribe of Judah." Just like my sister said, who emailed me, she said, all of these different, what she say, all these different platforms, whatever, is confusing. Look, stop trying to follow man and follow the Most High. It's all right to listen if somebody's got some sense to them. But if people are trying to bring you into a religious system, you want to go back into slavery when you have access to the Most High for yourself now? Aren't you tired of having to be a child, a student, somebody preaching to you all day, every day for the rest of your life? How can you be 80 years old, still go sit in the pew, listen to baby stories? Because the stories are for babes until they come to the understanding there is a true living God. Someone say Yeshua, that Yeshua, that it's God, is the Spirit of God came and speaking to people and showing people the way, whatever you want to say. Hey, however which way you want to believe, that's your belief. But I'm saying, I already know the gist of the whole Bible. It was always, there's a true living God. That was Jesus' point, pointing people. There's the Father, there's the Father, it's the Father. Don't worship me. Why do you call me good? There's only one good. That's the Father. Why do you want to call me master? There is not don't call me master. You don't call no man master. You don't call no man rabbi. You don't call no man this and that. See, it's only that. It's only him. This is what it is. That's plain and simple. You got to go to hear that all the time. So be it. Some people don't get it. It takes years. So I don't need to be affiliated with any group. I don't need to be affiliated with any group because I find most of them groups give you headaches anyway. Headaches. And some got demons in them. I've seen them in all of the groups. All of them. What good is it? What good is it? Claim to be you Hebrew Israelite. You come over to Africa and you divorce your wife and your wife divorce you. You come over here and scamming and cheating and lying and stealing and all this other stuff right here. I've seen it. No, I don't want none of those labels. None of them. So I want to share that with you. I went down this whole thing of showing why I say we are the original Jew. If this is based upon the sayings by those who are trying to say they are Jews, well, then let's go back to memory lane from the beginning and see that then if that was us and they came out of us, they came back to be taught by us, how in the world we get skipped as a people who already knew that we introduced you to the most high, that we are the original then, if that's what they say is Jew, the faith of believing in the true living God. Plain in a nutshell. Anyway, family, I thank you all for coming in. I thank you all for your kind words, your prayers, your blessings, even to the trolls. Because, I need the trolls to even develop me, to even get more strong, knowing how to put a blind eye to ignorance. Got to do that. We got to be able to build ourselves. Why? Because I got to be used for greater things. Aren't you tired of the distractions? Somebody throws something in over there. Ah, look over there. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Oh, what? So anyway, I thank you all for your kind words, your prayers, and those out there, even the trolls, those who even had their hearts to even give financially. Thank you to you all too as well. Thank you to all those who have the who also uses my for consultation. People who call me and want consultations, and those who just it's just beautiful, you all. I could not do this without you, and I am thankful for that. I am thankful for that. My son, he called me today, and he wants to start him a YouTube channel, and we were talking, and he's really wanting to go into a channel to help the young men and women who didn't have a father, because I was sporadic in his life. And so he wants to start his channel in that. And I told him, I said, I can help him in that, and we'll probably do a few father son talks to get it rolling. And so that people can hear his pain, people can hear where he is now today and how he changed himself from being out in the streets, you know, um, how he changed himself, how he got himself together, and how he is now as a father, and all these different things. So much stories he's got to share that mimics so many people's lives that we see today in our youth. And so he's going to do something with that, and that's the great thing, he's like, it's amazing how, I got into the YouTube because, well, not into the YouTube. I got into filming because of him. I was trying to help him back in the day. He was like, man, if I would have stuck with it, I don't even know where I would be. I said, you would be large. You would be. Because, I was trying to start him off in his business and start him in his business of filming. And he came to visit me and everything, and I showed him the people that was in the industry who were doing their own businesses and stuff. And I'd shared that story before, but I know a lot of y'all are new here. And he walked away from it, and I sent myself to school. I said, before I go ahead and start a business and get you rocking and rolling, I got to understand this industry. So I went to a film school. Went to film school, and it was fun. And the interesting thing about it was that it all fell into place, that when I decided to go start traveling Africa and I had all this content, I said, man, I got to put this content together. I had the knowledge of knowing how to edit, knowing how to shoot, and all that stuff there. And it all came to place. So now I'm doing it. And that's the thing that he loved. And yet now he's like, I got to get back into it. And I was the one who actually, you was trying to help me, and you wound up doing what it is that I should be doing. That's how life works. You know what I'm saying? That's how life works. So I thank each and every one of y'all. Peace and blessings to each and every one of you all. And please look out for my videos that I have. I put some more videos up. Interesting enough, learn about the Jews, the unorthodox Jews, and the Zionists. That this Orthodox Jew is talking about these people who are the ones who are talking about this anti-Semitic. They are the problematic ones who claim and say that they're Jews, but they are not even following the laws of what God had them to do. They're beating them, and the Israeli police officers are beating them. There's videos and stuff that's showing all that stuff there. Harassing the Orthodox Jewish people there by their own people, and y'all claiming that white folks stick together. And I've screamed all this time, no, they don't. They're very divided too. They got problems too. The problem of it is that you are in your own inner circle, and they always show our mess on TV. That's the problem that we have. In music videos, they show the drama, and TV, they show our drama, but they don't never really show much of their drama, especially if it came to them Jewish people. Peace and blessings, family. This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa.